Let's talk about vendor financing, because that has been something that has raised a lot of questions on Wall Street since you cut this deal with OpenAI. Yesterday, Bloomberg is reporting that you have a $2 billion in financing that you're going to be involved with XAI to help them with these same stories. But this idea of circular financing, your customers can't afford to buy these chips yet, so you're going to help them out with money along the way. That leads some people to think back to what happened with companies during the big buildup like a Lucent or a Nortel in the early days. Is this different, and if so, how?
Well, first of all, XAI, I'm super excited about the financing opportunity that they're doing. You know, the only regret I have about XAI, we're an investor already. The only regret I have is I didn't give him more money. You know, almost everything that Elon's part of, you really want to be part of as well. And he gave us the opportunity to invest in XAI. I'm just delighted by that. And so that's an investment into a really great future company, and I'm really excited about that. That's not vendor financing per se. But what's going on in the world versus what happened in 2000 is just dramatically different. You know, back then, as you recall, there were pets.com, hospitals.com, and all of the internet companies combined was, what, $30–40 billion in size? If you look at the hyperscalers now, that's where the first tranche of AI infrastructure is building. If you look at the hyperscalers, that's about $2.5 trillion of business that's already operating today. That business, that $2.5 trillion business, and the capex that goes underneath that is about, call it $500 billion. That transition from a classical CPU-based computing to now generative AI computing powered by GPUs, that transition is just starting. So we've got to build into $500 billion worth of capacity infrastructure that's already naturally growing by itself, and we're in the beginning phases of that. If you just look at NVIDIA's AI infrastructure business, you know, call it a couple of $100 billion so far, we're a couple of $100 billion into a multi-trillion dollar build out. So that's number one. The second part of it that's really unique is that we have a new generation of AI companies. The new AI companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and XAI and companies that are well, you know, Thinking Machine Labs from Mira and Ilya Sutskever's SSI and Misha's company Reflection. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of amazing AI model builders now. This generation of AI model builders, what's happened in the last several months, a transition happened that is really, really important. For the last several years, they've been generating tokens, you know, these AI tokens, basically at a loss. And the reason for that is because the early AI models they were super interesting, really captivated a lot of attention, but they weren't useful enough to pay for. The last several months, it's been very clear that the new technology is now reasoning, it's doing research. Before it answers a question, it goes on the web and studies other PDFs and websites. It can now use tools, generate information for you, and it creates responses that are really useful. I use it every day, to the point where now the tokens are profitable.
The question, though, is who is going to continue to pay for that build-out? Is it the big companies like a Procter & Gamble? Is it consumers who are going to do this? I mean, my doctor showed me the AI that he's using, and it's incredibly helpful, but there's still a question about whether he's going to pay for it or the company he works for is going to pay for it.
Well, hopefully both. I think there's the consumer part of it. You know, a lot of OpenAI customers are consumers, and they're paying for it. But the thing that's really cool is that the enterprise AI build-out that's happening now, my favorite enterprise AI service is Cursor. Cursor is an AI coder. And every one of our engineers, 100%, is now assisted by AI coders. And our productivity has gone up incredibly. And so you're now seeing enterprise AI companies like Cursor, OpenEvidence, I love Lovable. All of these companies are some of the fastest growing companies in the world, and they address enterprise. And so enterprise AI is here.
I wonder how you think about, Jensen, the ultimate destination where all this is actually building toward. I don't know, there was a post from David Kahn, he's a Sequoia partner, this week saying, look, AGI is the only thing that can justify the volumes of capital spending right now, artificial general intelligence. At the same time, many of the model builders and experts are pushing out the date where that maybe is going to be achievable. Meantime, you're talking about annual generations of chips. How fast do they depreciate? We're putting all this capital in these data centers that it's just not clear, like, when we get to the end, or is it just a treadmill?
We are going to have incredibly profitable and incredibly useful AIs long before AGI. And for example, right now, Cursor AI.
Yeah.
You know, Cursor's AI software coder is incredibly useful. All of our engineers use it. We have some 40,000 engineers. Almost every one of them are going to use it, and they're loving it. And so
they're using it instead of something else, presumably, right? So these are displacing things.
Yeah, they're not. This is a brand new thing.
Yeah.
Remember, AI, unlike previous technologies are tools that humans use. Excel is a tool that humans use. A web browser is a tool that humans use. For the very first time, we have technology that can actually use tools by itself. And so Cursor uses, Visual C++, and and now we have Gemini agents that are able to use the browser and browse for groceries or destinations or book travel for you, and it can use tools by itself. So this is really quite an extraordinary thing. This tool users, the tool industry is a few $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Tool user industry is $100 trillion. Which is the reason why everybody's so excited about the future of technology, because it could augment labor, it can increase the productivity of labor, and here at NVIDIA, it's increased our productivity tremendously.
You've already said you wish you could have bought more OpenAI and maybe invested more in XAI at this point. That implies that you don't think that this is all redundant, because a lot of the players, if I read what Sam Altman says and the message he tries to convey, it's as if they're sprinting to try to stay ahead of everybody else because they think it's not going to be room for everybody necessarily who's trying to do something similar.
I think there's general intelligence, and I think there's specialized intelligence.
Yeah.
We love general. When I hire engineers, I like them to be generally intelligent, and that's a great thing. But once they come to NVIDIA, we make them highly specialized intelligent, so that they could build things that NVIDIA needs. And so I think the idea of specialized intelligence versus generalized intelligence will continue to happen. And where the real value for enterprises and companies is specialized intelligence. And where the value for consumers, general intelligence.
Hey, Jensen, let's talk a little bit about capital allocation and how you see that. Just back to those same points, that you wish you had more invested in OpenAI, you wish you had more invested in these other companies that you're kind of taking stakes in, like an XAI. You can do things with your money. You can choose to put it back into R&D. You probably don't need a ton with that right now. You can choose to build the company. You can choose to make acquisitions. You can choose to give shareholders back big dividends, or you can invest it yourself in other companies. And lately, what we've seen is a lot of investing in other companies. Do you have other deals like that planned in the works?
We're always looking for great startups to invest in. One of my favorite ones was CoreWeave.
Right.
My only regret is I didn't invest
Add that to the list.
enough. Yeah. And so in all of these investments that we've made recently, we've made some really terrific investments, and largely my only regret is that we didn't invest more, because these are really special companies, and they're part of our ecosystem, building out the AI infrastructure for the world. And AI is several things. AI is energy, AI is chips, the models, and the applications. And so you could see NVIDIA, and you could look at me working across that entire stack of ecosystems around the world. And we need more energy, we need more chips, we need better models and more models, and we need a lot more applications.